All right, let's see here. Let's talk about classifying conics part 2. All right, so we've already talked about, parabolas and circles in our previous lesson, and now we're going to talk about the other two, the ellipses and the hyperbolas. Okay, so remember we have our 4 shapes, right? Okay, so let's talk about ellipses first, the next one. You can tell that you're dealing with an ellipse when you have both an x squared and a y squared. When they're on the same side of the equal sign, they have the same sign, so they're both positive or they're both negative. The difference between an ellipse and a circle is that with an ellipse, the coefficients are different, okay? And so here's an example. You can see in this one you have an x squared and a y squared, right? You have the 9x squared and the 4y squared, but there's a 9 and a 4. They're different. That's what makes it an ellipse. Okay, and ellipses, by the way, they're like oval shapes. Kind of looks like this when we get to the graphing. Okay, and then let's talk about a hyperbola. A hyperbola also has an x squared and a y squared, but when they're on the same side of the equal sign together, they have different signs. So one of them is negative while the other one is positive. Okay, and so for example here, similar equation, you have a square and a square of the x and the y, but if we were to, for example, subtract the 4y squared so that it's on the same side as the 9x squared, you would see that you have a positive 9 but a negative 4. The coefficients are different signs. That makes it a hyperbola. And hyperbolas, by the way, they kind of look like this. They're like the seams on a baseball or a basketball. Okay, so let's work on classifying. Now you know all 4. Okay, so for A, let's see. There's a x squared, but I don't see a y squared. I do see a single y though, parabola, right? Next one, B, x squared and y squared, they're both positive. They both have a 1 out in front. That's your circle. Next one, I see a x squared and a y squared. That rules out parabola. One of them is a positive 3 coefficient, while the other, the y squared, has a negative 5. Those are different signs on the same side of the equal sign. That's our hyperbola. And last one, we have a negative 5x squared and a negative 2y squared. They have numbers out in front that are different, and their signs are the same. That makes it an ellipse. All right, so let's go ahead and try this one. Here's your you-all problem. Go ahead and pause it, give it a shot. And if you did it correctly, you should be getting these answers. All right, great. Now let's get to the practice.